Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today we're making 3 cheese Cappelletti and a Parmesan Brodo. For our Brodo we need 8 ounces of Parmesan rind, and you can usually find this at the cheese counter in your grocery store. We also need to have 1 whole head of garlic, leaving that peel on, and we're going to quarter 1 small yellow onion, leaving the skin on this as well. It's going to add a ton of flavor and color to our Brodo. Now you can skip this next step if you want to, but I do highly recommend it. In a large pot, we're going to add 2 tablespoons of olive oil, and we're going to drop in our onions and our garlic to soften up and brown up for about 5 minutes. Again, you can skip this step, but it is going to add an intensity of flavor to your Brodo. So after 5 minutes, we're going to carefully tip in 8 cups of water, and just be careful because it is going to splash and sputter a little bit. 1 teaspoon of whole black peppercorn, 1 bay leaf, our Parmesan rind, 4 stems of fresh thyme, and 4 stems of fresh parsley. And we're going to bring this up to a boil, lower it to a simmer, and let this cook partially covered for 2 hours, just simmering away. For our pasta, we need double O pasta. It's a really fine flour. And we need 2 cups of this. And I'm just pouring this directly onto my workbench because it's just easier to work the dough this way. So that is 2 cups. To this, we're going to add 1 teaspoon of kosher salt. And we're going to take a fork and just start mixing the dry ingredients together. Now we want to make a well in the middle of our flour and salt. And you want to make a very large well. I did not, and you'll see what happened in a minute. So make sure to widen that well pretty big. We're going to add 1.5 teaspoons of extra virgin olive oil, 2 whole eggs, just breaking up the yolks with a fork. And we're going to also tip in 6 egg yolks. Now this is where a disaster struck. It was like lava flowing everywhere. Because ideally you want those eggs to stay in the middle so you can break them up, and you want to slowly start incorporating the flour. I did avert disaster and got this under control. And you would just take the fork and start adding in the flour into your eggs. And as always, clean hands are your best kitchen tool. So once you're able to, start bringing this dough together, and we're going to knead this for about 15 minutes until all that flour is incorporated into our egg. It's a good arm workout. It's kind of cathartic because you're just thinking about bringing this dough together. And as I always say, your bench scraper is your best friend. So bring that into play and just start bringing this dough into a cohesive, beautiful, pillowy dough. And it should end up looking like this. We're going to pop this into a plastic bag or cover it with some plastic wrap and let that rest while we make our filling. For our 3 cheeses, we need 1/3 cup of freshly grated Parmesan cheese. That looks about 1/3 cup. Then 8 ounces of talleggio or fontina. I'm using fontina because that's what my grocery store had. As well as 8 ounces of whole milk ricotta cheese. To add a little zestiness, we're going to add 1 teaspoon of fresh lemon zest, a pinch of chili flake, and 2 teaspoons of thyme leaves. Now for our aromatics, we're going to smash and finely chop up 2 cloves of garlic and finely dice up 1 small shallot. We're going to give this a really good mix until all those ingredients are well incorporated, and pop this into either a piping bag with a large tip on it or a ziploc. If you don't have a piping bag, you can just cut the corner. Now back to our dough. It's looking well rested. The gluten has kind of rested a little bit. We're going to tip this out onto a floured workbench, sprinkle a little bit more flour on top because it is a little sticky. Give this another little knead for 5 minutes. We're not only working small sections, just put that larger portion back in the bag. Now you could use a pasta machine for this, but not everyone has one, so I wanted to do it manually. We're going to start rolling this out as evenly and as thinly as possible because we're folding it. We don't want thick pasta. Once you can see yourself at that through, that should be ready to go. So using a 2.5-inch biscuit cutter, we're just going to start cutting some rounds. Save the rest of that dough. We'll use that to make more little Cappelletti. So now we're going to pipe in 1 teaspoon of filling straight in the middle of our pasta round. And to shape these, it's pretty easy. You're going to take your little pasta round, fold it into a crescent, tightly sealing up all of those edges. You can do a little egg wash too if you want to seal it a little tighter. Then we're going to take those 2 long ends, bring them together, press them down, and flip this inside out to form a little hat. So we're going to keep forming these until we have a full tray. And like with any pasta or dumpling, if you're not going to use these right away, freeze it on the sheet and then pop it into a ziploc later. Now back to our brodo, we're going to strain out all of our solids after 2 hours and tip in the brodo back in the pot, bring it up to a boil, and let it reduce for 15 minutes. For our pasta, it should only take 2 minutes in some heavily salted boiled water. This is fresh pasta, so as soon as they float, they're pretty much cooked. So I'm just scooping these out directly into my serving bowl, ladling on our hot Parmesan Brodo, and garnishing with a little extra thyme for some color, and this is looking delightful. You can really smell the Parmesan in this Brodo. It's very subtle though, it doesn't have a ton of flavor. It's just a nice hot vehicle for a little Cappelletti to float in. The Cappelletti itself, the pasta is still tender, perfectly al dente. The filling has the sharpness from the Parmesan, the creaminess from the fontina. You get the onion and the garlic and this beautiful brightness from the lemon zest. And these are absolutely delicious. But there it is, 3 cheese Cappelletti in Parmesan Brodo. I hope you all try to make this in your home. Thank you so much for spending some time with me today. I really do appreciate it. If you liked this video, give it a like. If you loved it, please consider subscribing and hitting that notification bell because I put out new videos every Thursday. Thank you so much again. And until next time, happy cooking.